Hello there. Rishi Sunak has decided that an internal Tory party civil war, together with growing unrest on the streets, is the best way to approach a general election. Has Rishi just blown it? Suella Braverman was the sole owner of the one remaining bollock in this Tory government. So Rishi sacks her and replaces her with James Cleverly in a cabinet reshuffle. Now this story has two angles to it, national and international. First to the national or domestic aspect. The sacking of Suella Braverman from her post as Home Secretary tells me that Rishi is in the hammer the home crowd, but go light touch gently with the away team frame of mind, along with the rest of the blob, including our now two-tier policing service. This also tells me that open borders are going to continue under the Tories. Braverman is, well, a braver man than Rishi is. She tells us what she sees. He generally takes both sides. And with anti-Semitism flourishing in full view in our society, Rishi sacks his Buddhist Home Secretary, who is married to a Jew. Yes, her husband, Rael Braverman, is Jewish. How many people knew that? Anyway, Rishi was put in a bit of a spot because Suella Braverman was straight talking about the position the country is now in, and it's obvious to anyone with eyes that it's been getting worse and worse over the years. And far from inflaming anything, she just shone a spotlight into that very murky corner. As a result, Braverman's popularity has been on the rise amongst MPs and the wider population, on the right of politics. But of course not amongst the open-bordered lefties, who also seem to wholeheartedly support Hamas. Both sides warned Sunak, with the right saying it'll look like he's caved into the demands of the left if he sacks her, and the left saying it'll look like he's appeasing the right if he doesn't sack her. Well, Sunak's now nailed his colours to the mast of the left-of-centre open borders mob. Something that appears to be confirmed after former Prime Minister David Cameron rocked up at 10 Downing Street first thing this morning. Wonder what he'll be asked to do? Take us back into the EU perhaps? Or be sent around the world trying to increase inward net migration maybe? Or maybe he's there to lobby for a large, just about to go broke finance company. No. He is to be elevated to the House of Lords as a life peer and be given the job of Foreign Secretary, taking over from Cleverly. So he will be jetting around the world, cozying up to the EU and handing out visas, no doubt. Oh, and remember, Cameron is also a hoodie hugger. I mean, David Cameron says all you need to know about the paucity of talent amongst Tory MPs, doesn't it? Now, a Telegraph poll asked if Rishi was right to sack his Home Secretary, and it gives a resounding result of 62% saying he should not have sacked her, and only 38% saying he did the right thing. While Tory MP Andrea Jenkins X'd. I support Suella Braverman, sacked for speaking the truth. Bad call by Rishi caving into the left. But the real problem is that Rishi just made it harder to deal with the pro-Palestine protests. They will take this as a vote for their anti-Semitic activities. But those on the side of Israel will take it as the start of distancing the country from support of Israel, as well as distancing of support for our heritage and way of life. This will go down like a lead fart with many Tories, as it's just more proof that the Conservative Party is now more communist with a large C than it is conservative with a small c. Now, as I said at the start, this has a domestic and an international angle to it, with the international angle revolving around the UK's accession to the European Convention on Human Rights, the ECHR, and its courts. And at the heart of that this week is the Supreme Court's decision due at 10 a.m. on Wednesday as to whether or not the government's Rwanda plan is legal. This will be a pivotal moment. If declared legal, it won't be the end of the road, but it will give strength to the case that the UK needn't leave the ECHR. But if the Supreme Court rules against the government, then the calls to leave the ECHR will rise to a crescendo. Now, Suella Braverman is on the side of ditching our accession to the ECHR. But James Cleverly has very recently said there is no need to do so. And Rishi has replaced Braverman with Cleverly, so preparing the ground to not leave the ECHR, it seems. Our borders, as well as our immigration and asylum systems, will continue to be controlled by international bodies and judges over which we have no democratic control. Now, I have no evidence to support this, but maybe Braverman was getting wind of this prior to events over Remembrance Weekend. As I do have to wonder for how long Sunak has been planning this little reshuffle. Who's he been in quiet talks with to prepare the ground for it, etc.? So Braverman might have thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, and decided to stamp her mark on the moment. Possibly for when a post-general election rout of her party sparks a leadership challenge. And there is speculation that she actually engineered this sacking herself to gain support for her cause. Now, there will be quite a few Tory MPs who will want to lodge their letters of no confidence in Rishi Sunak with the chairman of the Tory Party 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady. That would need 15% of the sitting Tory MPs, and that would be 53 of them out of the 350 to do that. But many of those MPs will be looking to preserve what they've got, and won't want to rock the boat into an early general election. And yet another Tory leadership spat wouldn't help in that department. Now, it's being said that Sunak is trying to put the party back into centrist ground to steady the ship before the next general election that must take place before mid-January 2025. But all I see is the Rishi Sunak Tory ship still being steered into obscurity. But safely steered into obscurity. Nothing in this smacks of change, except for further stifling debate about how to deal with the nation's building problems where social cohesion is concerned. The only thing Sunak's done is to agree with the opposition in that anti-Semitism is okay and that trying to deal with it in any meaningful way is somehow racist. The internationalist, anti-UK Westminster Uniparty continues unabated. Our enemies will be very satisfied that someone who is highly vocal in exposing their antics has been removed for them by the Prime Minister. And those with their heads in the sand will bury them a little deeper and say, thank goodness for that, maybe we'll now get some peace and quiet. The trouble is that when your head's in the sand, your arse is stuck up in the air and highly exposed. Now, anyone hoping for a Tory rebellion of sorts against Sunak will, I think, be sorely disappointed, as I'm not sure there will be that many prepared to publicly back Braverman. But Braverman herself did say, "It has been the greatest privilege of my life to serve as Home Secretary. I will have more to say in due course." So it sounds like she'll be a thorn in the side for Rishi from the backbenches for some time to come. Unless he offers her a peerage too.